And our 4x4 speaker today is Michael Anderson. And Michael is going to talk about, well, let's just see what Michael's going to talk about. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Michael. Off you go.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep. Start my little timer here. And my friend Kathy Towers gave me this exercise. So I want everybody to just, you can close your eyes or not, but I want you to think of a room of guys. So if I say there's a room of guys, who's in there? What are they wearing? What do they look like? And we're going to come back to that just a second because, and take a snapshot of what that looks like. I'm going to ask you to recall that in a minute or two. Because a couple of weeks ago, I was on a panel for women in technology, and there was about 1,000 people watching this panel. So it was relatively large, and obviously it was in helping, how do we get women more empowered in technology? And, you know, I was briefed on the questions, and then we were going through, everything was going like as it was planned. And then the lady brought up Black Lives Matter, and she asked one of the ladies a question about that, and she was answering, and I figured she was briefed on the question. I'm nodding. And all of a sudden she goes, Michael, what do you think about this Black Lives Matter? And I was like, whoa. And I've been more scared then than I have been in the last bunch of years since I can remember, because it's like, oh my gosh, what if I say the wrong thing? What if I say something politically incorrect? It's like I have some thoughts and beliefs, but I'm not really sure exactly what I should say in front of 1,000 people. And I froze for a second, and then I just took a deep breath, and then I just started in. And what I want to talk today about is and I'll tell you, I'm really nervous right now because to me this is a very sensitive subject. To a lot of us, and I didn't really know what it was about. And this really is close to home with me because my stepson, Isaac, there's a picture of him and me. He's dual heritage, so his father is Jamaican, and so this really hits home. So I've done a lot of studying about this in the last couple of weeks and talking to a lot of people. And I just wanted to share a couple of things that were really helpful to me. And I want to make this a very positive, empowering a couple minutes here. But I do want to bring it back to when I said, think of a room of guys, who was in there? Were there any women in there? Yet how often do we use, is there a group of men and women and we go, hey guys, what are you doing? Or do you guys want to go to lunch now? Richard used it at the beginning of this, right? But most likely, if you're like me or like most other people, when I say room of guys, you're thinking of all men. How many of them were Black? How many of them were Asian? So that's a subconscious bias. That's an unconscious bias that we have. How many times do you get a resume in, or a couple resumes or CVs, and there's maybe a weird looking name, and you're like, I got these other ones, so I'm going to go with a name that's regular because that might be easier. Or how often are you at a networking event and you see maybe a middle-aged white guy and a Asian woman, and you go over to talk to the middle-aged white guy because you think that's more comfortable for you? Well, I'll tell you what, as leaders, it's up to us to make a change. So my challenge to you is to start look at the groups you're in, look at the company you're in, look at your Facebook friends and your LinkedIn feed, look at the sex and the color of them. And say, am I doing enough? Am I being proactive? Because to me, this is not about just not being racist. This is about making proactive changes. So next time you're at a networking event, I want you to go out of your way to talk to some underrepresented areas of society. Get them, find out who they are, do a follow-up contact, maybe bring them into some of your groups that are a bit more homogeneous. And I want you to be this leader that empowers some of these other groups, because really, that's what leaders do. And, it's not always comfortable and it takes some proactive action, but that's my challenge to everybody. Thank you, Richard.